So that day that we were here, I told a story. I haven't told a story for 9 years. You've heard me mention maybe part of it. But I haven't told this story for 9 years. I'm going to tell it again today. The story starts back in 1967. Great year. I don't know why. But it was a great year. That was a year where Jeff Dixon would probably have been first or second grade at the time. Living over off in the Lockhart area. And my mom, who is here today, she can attest to most of the truth of this story. My mom and dad purchased what was an amazing feature for the home. We bought a faux fireplace. See, we didn't have a fireplace in the house. I'm a Florida kid. I didn't know what a fireplace was. So we bought a faux fireplace. It was the neatest thing in the world. They had lights behind these logs that were fake, but they looked cool, and it looked like a fire was in there, but you never got burned. It was really cool. But beyond that, you open the top up, there's a stereo in the top of that son of a gun. I mean, that was awesome. Now, you can't put a stereo right on top of a fireplace. It's bad for the records. That's what we played back then, kids. We had records, vinyl. They're back again. They're cool now, but at the time, that's all we had, 45, 78s even. My mom and dad loved me enough. I had a record player in my room. It was a cool record player, except for the fact that you had to put a penny on the arm of it to weigh it down, because sometimes the records would be bowed. Some of you, I'm dating myself a little bit, but some of you can appreciate that. But this had a stereo, and this stereo had the coolest thing. It was called a diamond needle. We had the diamond needle in my house growing up because we were rich. That's right, we were rich people. We had the diamond needles, Mom. I never knew we were that rich. We had diamond needles, and I don't know if my mom knew or was paying attention or she was just letting me run wild, but they let me use this thing. Now, we had adult records. When I say adult records, I mean just adult records. Sorry, Mom. In my room, we had children's records, the Disney stuff. But these were records of other artists. I'm not sure what, I can't get out of that hole. Anyway, there were records that weren't, I can't tell you. I got nowhere to go here. But anyway, but they let me play. And I found the neatest thing. If you would turn that thing on and you take your finger and kind of rake it across that needle, it'd go, it'd make the weirdest noises. And it was awesome. It was so cool. We had an album. It came out in 1967. This is what the album looked like. Now, we didn't buy it in 1967 because my mom and dad did not run to the record store to buy this, but we had this album and part of the collection in the adult records. People, he's thinking. This album, Elvis Presley, How Great Thou Art. Some of you have heard of Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley released this album. It won a Grammy. It became a big hit. The lead track of this is that great old hymn, How Great Thou Art. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. Even if you're not an Elvis fan, if you like grand old hymns, it's a grand old hymn. And we listened to this, and I remember listening to this album as a kid. I have no idea whatever happened to the album. It's got to be long gone. But that album was a part of my childhood. I remember that. But you know what? Time changed. Time went by. And Elvis, when he did the song, it was such a unique version of the song. This is what it sounds like. It's awesome. It's awesome. Clean, got the background of the Jordanaires. It's fantastic. But time went by. Albums weren't as cool anymore. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. After albums came this. 8 tracks. Greatest thing we ever had in music, 8 tracks. If you had an 8-track player, here's the coolest thing about an 8-track. Right in the middle of the song, it would get to the end of the thing and go clunk, clunk, and would cut and take you to a different track. These guys that designed it weren't smart enough to figure out how to get the songs to fit so there wasn't this big gap in the middle of the songs when it clicked over. Some of you had 8-track players in here? If you have some 8-tracks, man, look at you. You guys are cool, weren't you? I mean, you guys had 8-track. Well, now that was the same album, by the way. Same album, same songs, just 8-track. Different way of delivering it. It was so cool, state of the art. We had a car one time with an 8-track player in it. Again, we were rich people. But then, time went by. I got a car of my own. And in my car, I had a tape player as well. But I didn't have an 8-track tape player because why would I want an 8-track tape player? That wasn't state of the art anymore. You know what's state of the art? This. Cassettes. Oh, it's still the same album, still the same cover, same songs. Now Elvis is on cassette. And this time there was no break in the middle of the thing. No clunk, clunk. No, it didn't break the song up. All you had to do was flip the tape out, side A, side B, or side 1 or side 2, depending on how fancy it was. If it was an RCA album, it did that way. So anyway, how great thou art. I can still listen to it. Matter of fact, if you had seen me as a teenage boy, you would see me riding through the streets of Orlando with my windows down, singing how great thou art at the top of my lungs, because I was an evangelist as a child. 16, 17, 18 years old. That's all I sang. It's the only album I ever had. Singing Elvis songs all day long, how great thou art. Just put it on replay. That was me. I don't need help. I'm fine. Thank you. All right. Time went by. But cassettes. Oh, you ever left a cassette in the car? Messes the tape up. All of a sudden, Elvis is singing. It sounded really good, and all he goes, I mean, there's a warp in it because the tape got too hot. Then God gave us a gift, CDs. CDs. How great thou art, Elvis, on CD. I had that CD. Got that CD. Unbelievable. And you know what? By the time I got it on CD, it had been remastered, re-engineered. It sounded so much better than that album sounded from the time that I was a little kid. And yet, the day that I stood here in this church for the very first time and played the song, I played it on my phone just like I am now. And this is the same recording. And it's now streaming through my phone digitally. You understand what's happened, of course. Since the 60s, the song hasn't changed, but the delivery system has. The way people hear it, the way people want to hear it, the clarity that people want to hear it with, the way that they receive it and they handle the music, that's changed a lot. That's the evolution of music. Nothing's changed. It's still the track that Elvis did back in the day. Same song, just a different way to share it. We've been doing that every year in ministry since 1993. We've done that for the last 9 years here at the church, 434. We're talking about Jesus, and we're delivering it in a number of ways we can. And what we're getting ready to move to, this space program that we're involved in, is just another little delivery system, another way that we're looking to deliver this message. Same song, same story about Jesus, just in a different way, for different folks, so they hear it in a way that maybe they've never heard it before, so they can connect and they can grow. See, the prayer is that you become tough and you become competent. You have to be willing to change. I have to be willing to change. And we have the freedom to do that because God says we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. And when we're changed by the renewing of our mind, the thing that doesn't change is Jesus. And so what's actually happening is the more we change, the closer we get to being the version that he has created us to be, the version of ourselves, which is the best version of ourselves. And that's the call of Christ. And so today we stand on the launch pad. Once again, we told you last week the countdown is on. And today we move to the launch pad where you have to decide, are you going to be the best version of yourselves and be who Christ has called you to be? You've seen a very vivid illustration of one of those steps in that journey. As we talked about baptism today and we saw it. When we are willing to follow Jesus, we will begin to discover a life that goes so far beyond anything we ever dreamed possible. And when that dream comes true, we'll look back and say, God, it was all you. And we'll celebrate it. Let's pray together.